Hello, everyone. I'm Linda McHenry, host of Taking the Mystery Out of Insurance podcast. Today is April 7th, 2020, and today's video corresponds with today's podcast episode. And the topic is the coronavirus stimulus and how it affects you. Recently, Congress enacted the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Security Enhancement Act, the CARES Act. And I have been picking up a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of miscommunication, both online, in social media, even in people who have been reporting to me about the insurance consequences of it. So I downloaded the 247-page law from the federal government, and I've been reading it. And I want to talk about a couple of the two biggest points, I think, that are most confusing, and then talk quickly about three other points to address retirement plans. So the first thing I want to talk about is that $1,200 everybody's talking about, how every adult's going to get $1,200 and every kid's going to get $500. Well, first of all, everybody isn't getting any money. And when people do get money, $1,200 isn't necessarily the amount. Basically, the money that's being distributed is a tax credit. And tax credits only get awarded if you file a federal income tax return. So for those who filed income tax returns in 2018 and 2019, the federal government is going to look at whatever it has on file for the most recent of those 2 years. It's going to look at the adjusted gross income, the AGI, on the federal tax return. And for people who have AGIs that are up to the thresholds, those individuals will receive the tax credit. So the thresholds are $75,000 for individual filers, $112,500 for those who file as head of household, and $150,000 for joint filers. So for people who have AGIs up to those amounts, they will receive $600 per adult and $500 per child as a tax credit. For people whose income was higher than those thresholds, the amount of their tax credit will be reduced. And according to the law, it says 5% per certain amount of income. I haven't read far enough to know what that amount is yet. But we do know that the percentage increases and eventually the tax credit will phase out for people who make so much money. The tax credit isn't refundable, and for people whose income was too high or too low in 2020 as compared to previous years, there will be an adjustment on the 2020 federal tax return. The next issue that I'm hearing a lot of chatter about that is not always correct has to do with unemployment benefits. Yes, the federal government is giving an additional $600 a week to people who are unemployed. That amount would be paid over and above whatever the maximum amount is paid by the state. However, there are conditions, and in order to receive that extra money, the unemployment has to be COVID-19 related. There's a list of, about 13 different things. And the ones that stand out in my mind are the individual has to have coronavirus, a family member has to have it, and they're a caretaker. You have to stay home with kids because of childcare related to COVID-19, or the job loss was directly related to the virus. So again, there are requirements. Some people will be able to collect that $600 only between the weeks of April 5th and July 31st, meaning that your unemployment was those weeks, so the extra money will apply then. I've seen that there are two other time frames where people can have extensions of benefits, again, based on certain conditions. The good part about this law, though, in addition to all that, is the fact that people who previously were unable to collect unemployment benefits will be able to do so. So the self-employed, independent contractors, people who don't have a long enough work history typically to collect unemployment benefits, and some people who have exhausted their benefits will be able to collect. So again, those are the two big issues that I've seen where information's being miscommunicated. And then three other quick things I want to share with you because they're cool. And I think people will want to know it. The first one has to do with the expansion of Medicare telemedicine benefits. A lot of seniors are staying home. They're not going out. They're afraid about the virus. But they still need medical care and they still have ongoing conditions. So the expansion of these telemedicine benefits is a good thing for them because it only pertains to non-COVID-19. So everybody in the healthcare industry is focusing their attentions on people with the virus, and people who don't have the virus are kind of left floundering. So this is going to help those seniors out. With respect to retirement accounts, Two good things are required minimum distributions for 2020 have been waived for most qualified plans, IRAs, 401ks, some deferred compensation plans. And with respect to early withdrawals from retirement plans, specifically for 401ks, IRAs, qualified trusts, qualified annuities, and some deferred compensation plans, deferred contribution plans, that early withdrawal penalty of 10% is being waived. Now, taxes are still owed on it, but the taxes can be paid over 3 years. And if a person wants to put the money back into the retirement account during that 3-year period, they can do that without having to worry about caps. So as time goes by and I finish reading the law, I will be reporting new and updated information on my blog. You can find that at my website at lindamchenry.com. I have a podcast page there. For those of you who like to listen to podcasts, you can find the podcast on all the major podcast locations: Apple, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, all of those. And for those of you who'd rather not listen, but you'd rather do it on the internet or you'd rather watch YouTube, obviously I have shorter versions of the podcast episodes here on YouTube. You can also go to my website on the podcast page and find places on the internet where you can listen to any of the podcast episodes. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you have a subject you'd like me to talk about, you can submit that on a form on the podcast page. When I have my full-length episodes on the podcast, I will have a Q&A section. So if you have a question you want answered on the podcast, you can submit it there. That's it for today. I hope you stay well and healthy. Keep an eye over your families. Hope they stay well and healthy too. That's it for today. Bye-bye.